Hey guys, welcome to Raw vs SmackDown. Now if you're new to the channel, this is a dedicated video series where we look at both Raw and SmackDown and we see which show won for the week. It's very simple. But if you are new and you do like the channel and you like the content, then why not like, subscribe and press that bell so you can keep notified with all this awesome content here on the channel. Now that's all said and done and we can get away from all that YouTube stuff. Let's hit the music and let's enjoy Raw vs SmackDown review. So we start off the show with an actual match. I know, no promos. My God, it's just an amazing time to be a WWE fan. But yes, it was Becky Lynch, the man, and her man, Seth Rollins, versus Andrade and Zelina Vega. This was actually a really entertaining match, guys. You had a lot going on. It was a elimination match as well, so it wasn't just a mixed tag team match, which was, you know, different. We have not seen an elimination mixed tag team match before, so this was nice. Becky Lynch very much in control. Every time she was facing Zelina Vega, she was in control. Vega was the first one to be eliminated. Becky, one of the best parts of this was Becky trying to face off against Andrade before the referee and Seth kind of pulled her back to one side. Lacey Evans did come out to watch it on the ringside. This is after Becky Lynch did eliminate Zelina Vega with the disarmer. Becky and Lacey Evans had a bit of a brawl. Zelina Vega started to get a little bit more, inject herself more into the match with Andrade versus Seth. Becky again, obviously she's kind of equalizing all that. She took out Zelina Vega. There was an awesome bit where Andrade seemed to take out Becky Lynch. Andrade looked really concerned. Seth didn't seem that too concerned because he started beating the crap out of Andrade. He hit the stomp. Becky and Seth Rollins win the match. Good fun. Becky and Seth are celebrating at the top of the ring and they get attacked and jumped by obviously Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin. I was going to give it just a 2 out of 5 stars, but I think the beat down by the heels after the match was well worked. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had a Paul Heyman in ring. Spoiler alert. It was great. Again, Paul Heyman's just playing Paul Heyman, the advocate of Brock Lesnar, not the, you know, exclusive director of Raw. So it's kind of interesting to see that obviously we're all there, everyone was cheering that Paul Heyman was out, and you kind of forget Paul's a heel and you shouldn't be cheering for him because obviously he's the advocate for Brock Lesnar. But you just do because he's making such great improvements on Raw. The fans are just happy to see him. He talks about Extreme Rules, especially about Kofi and, you know, Seth Rollins are going to be vulnerable at Elimination Chamber. And obviously he states it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. And he goes, I might be lying. I might be just lying and using all this goodwill I've collected over years over saying it's a spoiler. And maybe I'm using it now to get into the heads of the champions. I thought it was a great promo from Paul Heyman. But again, I'm just going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. I think Paul Heyman promos are awesome. But again, I think all the fans were expecting Paul Heyman, the exclusive director, not Paul Heyman, the advocate of Brock Lesnar. So yeah, good promo. Good way to work it. So I liked it. 2 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had a 6-man tag team match where we saw The Miz teaming up with the Usos taking on Elias, and he was teaming up with a Revival as well. Of course it was going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match. Of course it is, because they have to work these in with commercial breaks. I thought this was a good match. It was a more aggressive style from Elias. He was very much he was very much targeting The Miz. They're working that feud hard with Miz and Elias. That's fine. I can work with that. I think Miz is the right type of guy now. He's very much a veteran in the business, and I think a good feud with Elias is good for Elias's career. Even if Elias doesn't win that feud, having to work with someone like The Miz will help him out. I think the Usos and the Revival just honest to God have brilliant chemistry. The Miz and Elias were beating the crap out of each other. They did distract the Usos, which cost them the first round. Pretty much they got hit by the Shatter Machine. The second round went to the babyfaces with the Miz hitting the skull crushing finale. So it was all one apiece. I mean, it kind of went all out awesome. Super kicks, Jimmy and Jey Uso hitting the super kicks on Dawson and Wilder, which is awesome. I keep saying awesome, but they are just awesome working together. And then Jey Uso hits the frog splash to get the victory. Again, a really good match. I think the chemistry, the rivalries between all these men is fantastic. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Rey Mysterio's return. Yeah, Rey has come back from injury. Doctors were predicting he'd be away for about a few months. But he managed to come back in 6 weeks. Again, I do not know what they're putting in the water in WWE, but these guys are managing to come back from serious injuries in a matter of weeks. Always cool. Rey cuts a great promo talking about how he had to relinquish the United States Championship, which obviously Rey being a fighting champion always was going to hurt him. He also talked about how he's ready for a challenge. He wants to prove he's fully fit, and he holds an open challenge. And who answers that challenge? None other than Bobby Lashley. Now, Bobby Lashley earlier that night has been announced that him and Braun Strowman will have a Falls Count Anywhere match at Extreme Rules. Again, what happened last week really saved that feud, so for me, awesome. Lashley comes out, bit of a surprise. I don't think anyone was really expecting him. He dominates Rey Mysterio. Rey really doesn't get much into this. A vicious spear which looks like it absolutely destroys Rey Mysterio. Bobby Lashley gets the victory, and not just that, he starts beating the crap out of Rey Mysterio after the match and throws him out of the ring. A very much aggressive Bobby Lashley. He starts beating him up on the top of the ramp as well. Officials stop him. He throws Rey Mysterio at the officials, and then he cuts a promo on Braun Strowman as well. I'm going to give this again a surprise. It was a surprise to see Bobby Lashley, but I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Really good worked segment. It's a shame that Rey got kind of destroyed in this, but it makes Bobby Lashley feels like a very dangerous heel right now. Next up, we had No Way Jose versus Cesaro. This again, what happened last week was Cesaro just attacking No Way before their match even started. So it was nice that we had continuation. Nice to see that from WWE. Usually they don't do that. No Way kind of tripped up on himself getting out of the ring to take out Cesaro, but like literally, No Way was like in control of this match for like a nanosecond before Cesaro pretty much destroyed him and made him tap out with obviously, the sharpshooter. I'm happy that we're getting continuation between these type of matches, even the small, and it's good to see No Way Jose getting TV time in my opinion. But it's a squash match, it really is. So I'm going to give it a 1.5 out of 5. Mainly it's getting a 0.5 because of the continuation of a storyline from last week. As well, we also had the Street Profits back on Raw. Now, again, they were backstage, but they were plugging the network. This is, again, they were talking about every single match which was going on Extreme Rules. They're also talking about Evolution's special event, which is going to be on the WWE Network this weekend as well. And it's just like, it's really interesting. It's weird that we've got the NXT Tag Team Champions on TV, on Raw, plugging the network, but they're not really interacting with many other superstars. I think the only person we've seen them interact with mostly are the interviewers and Paul Heyman. Everyone else, they've not really done anything with. But again, Street Profits are fun, they're exciting, but I just want to know, why are they going to Raw? That would be interesting to see if they actually start getting feuds with people. But, I do like the Street Profits, so having them on TV, that gets people wanting to see what they're like in the ring on NXT. So I think it's a smart idea right now. But at some point you're going to have to put them on in a match on Raw, just so people, you know, just go, oh, why are these guys always on TV? And now we know. So for me, it's awesome to see them, but I just want to know why they're always on, why they've just recently started turning up on Raw. As well as the Street Profits, we also got some backstage bits where, again, continuation, where we saw Maria Kanellis and Mike Kanellis backstage. Mike brings Maria some flowers. He says he loves her. She says she loves him back. And then obviously she says, I'm craving ice creams and pickles. He doesn't really understand at first. And then he goes, oh, you want me to get you ice cream pickles? Do you want low fat? And she's like, you can't finish fat. And it's brilliant. And then when he walks out of the room, she goes, what kind of man taps out to a woman? And then later on, he returns with the pickles and ice cream. She's annoyed with him. And then she even states that Mike Kanellis might not even be the father of their child. Bloody hell, this is great drama. I want to know what's going on with those two. So it's nice that we're continuing that storyline on Raw as well. But I'm not really going to score it because I think it's an ongoing storyline. I just want to see. Maria Kanellis is really vicious to her husband. I hope she has to explain to her kids at some point, if they ever rewatch this in the future, that this was all acting, because she plays it off perfectly. Next up, again, we had a backstage segment. There was a lot of backstage segments at this point on Raw. This was Bayley and Nikki Cross. They were doing like a side-to-side satellite interview, but they were in the building, so it was like, well, why? But pretty much they were talking. It was a good promo segment from both women. They were talking about the Beat the Clock challenge, which they would have on later on in the show. The winner of the Beat the Clock would pick the stipulation for Bayley and Alexa Bliss's Extreme Rules match. So it made sense in that way. But Nikki Cross is good. She's really good at promos. Bayley, again, she's trying to convince Nikki that Alexa is using her, but Nikki will not have any of it. So it was the last. I think this was Bayley's final attempt, really, to try and get Nikki Cross to understand. So yeah, I'm not really going to score it because I'm going to score it when it comes to the matches itself. But yeah, I thought both women did an okay job. I just don't like the side-by-side satellite thing when both women are in the building at the time. Next up, we had the Viking Raiders versus local talent. At least we had a match at this point. But yeah, it was a squash match. The Viking Raiders were just completely in control. I was going to score it a 1 out of 5 and just say that's it. They destroyed some local talent and that was it. But we had a great run in by Drake Maverick, the 24/7 champion, who was getting chased by everyone. He ran past the Viking Raiders. Everyone's trying to get past the Viking Raiders, and they start beating the crap out of everyone chasing after him. So again, it's funny. I like the Maverick 24/7. I just don't understand why the Raiders, who we've been getting built up for some time now, are going back to fighting jobbers. It just, again, makes no sense for me. So I'm going to score a 1.5 out of 5. Next up, we had an interesting match. We had Ricochet versus Luke Gallows. Obviously, we had AJ and Karl Anderson watching on the side of the ring. But yeah, Ricochet really had very little offensive in this match. It was good to see Luke Gallows being portrayed as a powerhouse. The guy is massively powerful. If you watch his matches from New Japan and stuff like that, you see how talented the guy is. It's nice to see him actually getting that. But again, the problem with Luke Gallows and with Karl Anderson is, after a while, they'll start getting cocky, and that's what costs the match. And that's what happened this time round. It looked like Gallows was going to win easily, but obviously he started being cocky. He got distracted. Ricochet managed to flip him, get the 3 count, and then AJ got annoyed. It looked like Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows and AJ were about to beat up Ricochet. AJ puts a challenge on for Ricochet. If you said you could beat all of us, go through all of us, why don't you take on Karl Anderson? Now, the Karl Anderson match was a lot more better for Ricochet. He controlled a lot more of that match for them. Karl Anderson, again, he's very dangerous with his hands and feet himself, and it looked like, again, Karl Anderson could have won it. But no, again, Karl Anderson got distracted. AJ did get involved in the matches as well, so I should mention that. But yeah, Karl Anderson, he got distracted. He got hit by Ricochet's finisher, and he lost the match as well. Then obviously AJ Styles, Gallows and Anderson beat up Ricochet, and you know, this was again, this is just showing the power of the heels. AJ again hits the Styles Clash, top of the rope on him. This, you know, I love the heel AJ Styles and the club. I think this really works for him. I think Ricochet is a perfect opponent for him. He's that sympathetic babyface everyone likes. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. I'm going to include both matches because it was all one segment altogether, really, in my opinion. So yeah, a 3 out of 5 stars. Fantastic segment from AJ and Ricochet. Next up, we had the Beat the Clock Challenge match. It was the first of them both. We had Bayley versus Sarah Logan. This was an interesting match, mainly because it was a standard match. But it was interesting to see Logan really getting... she was very much not in control until she headbutted Bayley, and all momentum started going Logan's way. She's a very powerful woman. It's interesting that Logan's still getting the entrance for the Riot Squad, because I thought the Riot Squad was finally disbanded, but no, she's still coming into the Riot Squad. It even says Riot Squad when she walks in, so that was interesting. But yeah, Logan really, it started to feel more and more like Logan was going to get the victory, but Bayley finally beat her in 4 minutes and 32 seconds. A very, very, I would say, I think that's a really bad score, really, if you think about it. Then obviously we had Nikki Cross versus Dana Brooks. That was the second match on the Beat the Clock Challenge. Now this one was quite different. Dana was getting out of the ring a lot more often. She was trying to allow the clock to run down. She came down and hugged Bayley, who was watching on ringside. Nikki Cross finally got Dana into the ring and started beating the crap out of Dana. She finally beat Dana in a very short period of time after hitting the swinging neck breaker, and her time was only 1 minute, and I think it was 1 minute and 50 seconds left on Nikki's time, so she did beat the clock. Then obviously Nikki got Bayley into the ring. She ordered her in the ring, which was quite aggressive from Nikki Cross, and she told Bayley, that the stipulation for Extreme Rules with her will be her and Alexa Bliss on a 2-on-1 handicap match at Extreme Rules. Awesome, yes. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Again, I don't understand why Nikki is not the #1 contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship. She's won all the matches, she's done everything, but it's Alexa Bliss. I want to see how that goes. Obviously, Nikki started getting very cocky towards Bayley about hers and Alexa's friendship. Bayley had enough. She slapped her, hit her with the Bayley to belly, and even elbow drop from the top rope onto Nikki Cross. I'm going to give this whole segment a 2.5 out of 5. I think both women did a fantastic job. I think they should have kept it a little bit closer. I think Bayley's time should have been like 3 minutes, and then had Bayley's Nikki's win like 25 seconds left. That would have made it a lot more, interesting for the viewers. But yeah, a good, strong segment from both women. Now I'm quickly going to mention Corey Graves' interview backstage with Seth and Becky Lynch, and he was talking to him, and it was just a heel interview, and it was pretty much talking about to Becky and Seth about if Becky lose your championship, how would you feel? How would that cut with your? And it was such a heel promo from Corey, and it just reminded me of just the legends, like when Lawler was a heel commentator, or when Heaton, the guy, the legends from the past were there. Gorilla Monsoon, really, some of the best color commentators were so good. The Brain himself, he was great at this. Cornette is very good at this, and it just reminded me of the legends. I was like, oh man, he's really good, and I wish we got to do more stuff like that with him. So I'm not going to really score it, but I was really impressed with Corey Graves', like heel promo interview with Becky and Seth. Last but not least, it went to our main event of the night, and it was Roman Reigns and a mystery partner. It was Shane gets to pick Roman's tag team partner versus Shane O'Mac and Drew McIntyre. So all the way through the night, we saw Shane talking to garbage men and drink dispenser men, and finally he picked a limping janitor. Offered him his name was Gary. They offered him $5,000 and told him all you have to do is stand next, by the ring post, and you'll get $5,000 and wear a lucha mask. Obviously, this meant that there was going to be a switch or something going on. But the match was interesting. Roman trying to pretty much make sure he didn't have to tag or anything. But the match itself, there was a bit of a mix-up. Roman falls into the side. Gary accidentally tags in. Drew McIntyre throws Roman into the ring post. Roman is pretty much taken out of this match. Then Drew starts beating up on Gary, and it looks like Shane's ready to tag in. He wants to get this cheap victory. Next thing we know, Gary's just flying everywhere, doing all sorts, knocking out Shane O'Mac, and you're just like, oh god. It's that classic thing, switcheroo. It's an actual wrestler in the mask. He beats up Shane. It looks like he's going to win, but no. Claymore kick, and obviously Shane and Drew win. Roman comes into the ring in time to save Gary from getting even more beaten up by Drew McIntyre and Shane O'Mac. He chases on. Gary takes his mask off, and who is it? It's Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander was in the main event of Raw. What an age we live in. I thought this was really good by Cedric Alexander and Roman Reigns. For me, would have been better if Cedric had won the match. He actually pinned Shane, and I'll be like, that's better storylines there. But yeah, it's a shame that payoff really didn't come off as well as if it would have been that situation. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 because I think that Gary's beating up everyone, and it turns out to be Cedric Alexander was good, but I think Drew and Shane winning the match just kind of took away a bit of that shock horror thing. So yeah, a good episode from Raw. Next up, we have SmackDown Live. So SmackDown Live, we didn't start off with an opening intro. We actually started with a video from earlier that day, and Dolph Ziggler was walking into the arena. He gets caught and gets, interviewed by an interviewer, and he's talking about him and all this stuff. And Kevin Owens just drives past and he starts beeping his car and gets out, and he just lays into Dolph Ziggler, saying, "Well, let me guess, Dolph. It should have been you. It should have been me. It should have been anyone." And it's just a great promo from Kevin Owens. They start getting into a scrap outside. Superstars and officials in their own clothes are trying to pull both men around. You can even see there's like a bust lip or a nosebleed from KO, like he's actually physically being punched. And Shane O'Mac sends KO home. He says, "Nope, get out of here. I've had enough of this. You're going home. You're out of the main event for tonight." And then it goes into the show. But I thought this was a great way, obviously if you don't keep up to the WWE.com stuff, this was, oh my god, they're actually physically punching each other, busted nose. But it was fun. It's a different way, and it explains why the main event, which was advertised on the show, has been changed. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Fantastic way, and the show gets even better from here. So this leads on to the intro for the show. So we started off the show with Tom Phillips doing the Tom Phillips thing, where he talks about every single match, but before he gets really into any more depth, he is interrupted by, guess who? That's right, Kevin Owens, who had been earlier that day, again, being sent home. KO cuts probably the best promo of the year. Now, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a great promo from KO. He talks about how he's been a company guy. He's always tried to be, stay in his lane and all this lot, and he's just had enough. And he talks about Shane O'Mac, and he literally cuts into Shane O'Mac, and you can see Shane swearing a little bit every time he holds down the mic, so he doesn't catch his voice, but he's swearing at Kevin Owens. He cuts Kevin Owens' mic. Kevin gets another one because there's another mic here, you idiot, which was great. Talks about how Shane calls himself the best in the world and he wants to bash his head in, and he said obviously that he mentions the McMahons saying that they're giving the power back to the WWE Universe, and he says no, that's not it, we're just seeing Shane's got more power, he's more on TV, and no WWE fans have ever asked for more Shane O'Mac on TV. He cuts the mic again, he takes Byron Saxon's headset and starts cutting promo saying Shane's taking time from Buddy Murphy, Liv Morgan, Kairi Sane, Asuka, AOP, and they should be getting an Apollo, and they should be getting a TV time. And then obviously security come out and KO jumps the barrier. This is a fantastic bloody promo from Kevin Owens. Honest to God, this is brilliant. I think he mentions every single thing the fans have been saying for weeks, and I don't know if this was Eric Bischoff's idea, but whoever was writing this segment, if it was just saying to Kevin, just say exactly how you've been feeling, or it feels like there's a lot of truth going out of this as well. It just worked, and for me, it's just, again, you always have those promos, those interviews, those bits and bats. And you got the CM Punk one with a pipe bomb. You have the Miz with Daniel Bryan at Talking Smack. Now we're going to mention the Kevin Owens at SmackDown promo. This is it, and it instantly turned him from babyface to super baby. The guy is an uber face now on the company. So for me, I've got to give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's just such a great promo from Kevin Owens. Next up, we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor. Now, this was interesting. I really like this. I was looking forward to this match when it got announced on social media. I was like, yeah, I want to see Shinsuke, I want to see Finn. This is a, for me, it's a big match. It's a big match to have on TV. Is it the best match we've seen these guys? It's definitely Nakamura's best match we've seen him in for some time. I think it's good to see both men on TV. I think that's something everyone's kind of missed, both of them. They officially announced that Nakamura and Rusev are no longer tag team partners as well on this. But it was interesting. So each man had their intro when they're coming into the ring, with their intro music. But they also had this new video thing. So they open up with a backstage interview where they talk about the match and their opponent, and it opens up at the bottom and then goes wider, and it's really quick, but it's a nice, it makes SmackDown look different to Raw having that. So I was like, ooh, that looks different and it looks nice, I like that, keep that. But yeah, the match itself was high, very aggressive Nakamura. He really didn't allow Finn to have too much. Finn did try his best to counter a lot of what Nakamura did, but Nakamura was going for the count out victory. Obviously, this wasn't for the IC title. I think this was more for an opportunity for the IC title. So any way to win it, count out or anything like that, would have helped Nakamura. And Nakamura hit the King Slasher twice on Finn Balor. He manages to finally get him at the end and pins the Intercontinental. This is the right decision. It's a big victory for Shinsuke Nakamura. It definitely means he's going to have an IC title match at some point, and I think both guys just have good chemistry. Even with Nakamura very much in control of it, you could still see lots of chemistry between both men. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Really enjoyed match. It's a very good TV match in my opinion. Next up, we also had a Samoa Joe backstage video promo where he's talking about Kofi Kingston. Again, he's building up the match for their Extreme Rules one. Again, you really don't need to do much with Samoa Joe. Just give him a camera, give him a mic, and let him just speak. The guy just makes matches feel more important each time. The Kofi and Joe match is already, for me, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a hell of a match. I wouldn't be too fussed whoever wins. I think if Kofi wins, brilliant. If Samoa Joe wins, brilliant. Honestly, it's that type of match in my opinion. But he does talk about how Kofi uses people and how he's used the New Day pretty much throughout his time to get to being WWE champion. And again, you know, Samoa Joe, there's always like, it feels like there's half truths, and I don't know if that's because Joe just believes it more, but it was very interesting. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. It was a standard promo for Joe, but it's still a good promo to hype up their match. Next up, we had the Bayley and Nikki Cross signing the Extreme Rules contract. Now, again, I was a bit confused why Nikki Cross is signing this. Obviously, I know she's been added to the match as the, you know, helper for Alexa Bliss on the 2-on-1 situation. But again, I was a bit like, why is it should be Alexa? She's the actual #1 contender on this bit. But no, she wasn't there. Again, Bayley tries to convince Nikki that, you know, Alexa's using you. Use your brain. She's using you. But no, apparently Nikki is convinced that Alexa will let her be co-champion as SmackDown Women's Champion. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Nikki needs to wake up. I've got a feeling Alexa's going to turn on Nikki Cross if they don't win, and that would be interesting to see. And then obviously, Nikki had a match scheduled after the contract signing against Carmella, and she told Bayley to watch on. The match itself was very, very basic. Nikki in control for a lot of it. It's a shame. Carmella's a former SmackDown Women's Champion. She should be a lot better than this. It just felt very much like a jobber situation for Carmella, which is not fair on Carmella. I think she's a lot better than we give her credit for. But yeah, Nikki Cross again, swinging net breaker. She gets the victory, and that's it. I'm going to give this whole segment, because I'm going to keep it all together. Again, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. I think that's the fairest score I can give it. I think they didn't need to do the contract signing. I think what Bayley and Nikki did on Raw the night before was better than what we got on this part of the show. Next up, we also had a backstage segment where the Iconics were trying to get away from the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. Paige stops them, says, look, remember our deal. If we beat you in Tokyo, which we did, we get a title opportunity. They wanted to take that opportunity tonight. Billie Kay says she was ill, so she was unable to compete with bird, cow, flu. So it's very, you know, my God, she's going to die. But yes, Paige was annoyed. She slapped Billie Kay and said, what are you going to do? You're sick, apparently. And yeah, so hopefully we're going to get this Extreme Rules. I would like to see the Iconics actually defend their titles. Let's be honest, we want Asuka and Kairi to win those titles at some point. But yes, it's good to actually see the Kabuki Warriors on TV again. So I'm not really going to score this because it really didn't add duo. It just reminded the fans, by the way, the Kabuki Warriors won in Tokyo, so they do get a women's tag team match at some point. Next up, we had the Tag Team Summit. So we had New Day's Big E and Xavier Woods, Heavy Machinery and Daniel Bryan and Rollins, all kind of doing a quick promo. Big E was brilliant. Big E's sex jokes are funny no matter what. Daniel Bryan praising the New Day and Heavy Machinery, but saying, look, you're a disgrace to the division because you make everything into a joke. A good little promo from Heavy Machinery, start talking about how they, you know, they had their opportunity, they took it last week, and that's why they're here. To be honest, the match itself, we had a triple threat match between one member of each team. Xavier Woods versus Daniel Bryan versus Otis. That was the best bit about all this. The jokes and everything aside, the promos was fine. It was the triple threat match which was the best part about this. Otis was literally the tank. He just continued going. Once he was out of the ring, you got to see really, you know, more grapple style wrestling between Xavier Woods and Daniel Bryan, which was good to see, because again, you kind of forget Daniel Bryan can pretty much, he's a submission expert in the world, and his grappling ability is out there as well. So again, but it was a good push for Otis and Heavy Machinery. It's like, look, these guys are dangerous. They're going to be the most dangerous ones because they're just a powerhouse tag team. There's not a nimble guy. So like with New Day, they've got Xavier Woods, who's nimble, and the powerhouse again with Bryan and Rollins. Bryan's the nimble guy, Rollins the power. Heavy Machinery are just all power. They don't have nimbleness in them, apart from the Worm. The Worm is pretty damn awesome to see. Otis's Worm is awesome. Tucker and Big E and Rollins all started fighting outside the ring. The official kicked them out. Bryan tried to put the yes lock on Xavier Woods, but Otis broke that, and he hit them both with absolute power. He used like the compactor himself. I think it was on Xavier Woods. He did get the victory, and yeah, it was a big victory for Heavy Machinery. I'm going to use the Tag Team Summit and the Triple Threat match as all in one segment again, and I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. I thought it was a really good segment. So we had a promo from Ali again. I really like Ali's latest promo. It's very much of a man who has belief, and it's not just belief in himself, it's belief in the world, it's belief in communities, and it's trying to like talk about how, look, if you feel like you're lost and stuff like that, remember there's other ways to get past it. Just believe in yourself, and once you believe in yourself, you can start believing that anything's possible. And it's like, I know some people are, oh, it's the superhero gimmick and all this one, but I really like it. It's not a superhero gimmick. Ali he's a cop. The guy worked on the streets. He's seen how dark and everything the world is, and he wants to bring light to this world. So for me, I think it's a great promo again from Ali. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. I do recommend checking it out on the WWE.com. Next up, we had an awesome little backstage interview. So we had Aleister Black backstage getting hooked up onto the mic, and it was Tom Phillips interviewing him. Tom said, the person who knocked on your door, Aleister, has decided to remain anonymous, so you will not find out until Extreme Rules. Black starts cutting a promo straight away, and the next thing we know, we see a figure walking around the second room. So the split it into, there was a chair for Alice to sit on, and then his opponent, and then someone starts walking, a man in a white suit. Then he finally sits down, and it's revealed his opponent at Extreme Rules will be Cesaro. Perfect. I can't think of anyone else perfect enough to take on Aleister Black. I was just like, yep, that makes most sense. Aleister Black is absolute talent. Cesaro's absolute bloody talent. Let them have a very hard physical match, and I swear to God that I reckon that match could easily, just with pure talent in that ring, be a 4-star match in my opinion. But yes, I can't wait to see this match. I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Really excited to see these two go at it, and I think Cesaro was the perfect choice for Aleister Black's first, opponent. And last but not least, we had Roman Reigns versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, this was made when Dolph went backstage to talk to Shane. Obviously, Dolph was meant to be in the main event anyway against Kevin Owens. So Shane said, don't worry, you're going to be in the main event and you're going to take on Roman Reigns. You help me, I'll help you kind of situation there. Dolph's happy with that, and he says, don't worry, we're going to be out ringside watching you and watching your back. That was Elias and Drew McIntyre as well as Shane. But I was a bit more surprised that Roman Reigns is actually on SmackDown. First time in weeks we've seen the big dog on the actual, show he's supposed to be on. But yeah, Shane O'Mac and Elias and that lot came out supporting Dolph. Dolph and Roman have great chemistry. Very good chemistry. I really enjoyed Dolph. Dolph makes anyone look good, but Roman, who is already a good competitor, just looked really good in this match. Both men really working it. When the referee was checking on Roman, obviously, when the referee was checking on Dolph, Roman got attacked by Drew McIntyre, Elias, and Shane O'Mac. And then, obviously, Roman's the big dog. He overcomes these situations. Superman punch on Dolph, Superman punch on Elias, Superman punch to pretty much everyone. Then Roman does a suicide dive out to the ring to take out both Drew and Elias. Shane gets into the ring it looks like Shane's about to do a suicide dive. He turns around. Next thing we know, KO's back in the building. Stunner. Again, it should have been, my God, Stunner. We should have had JR. Just get JR from AEW for 1 week just to do that bit. Would have been perfect. Roman Reigns, spear on Dolph Ziggler. 1, 2, 3. Roman wins the match. Thanks to Kevin Owens coming in as well, which really, again, makes him the uber babyface. I think he's a bigger babyface now than Roman and Kofi right now on SmackDown Live. And yeah, just absolutely loved it. I thought this was a good main event. I think KO running in and hitting the stunner. I think Kofi, obviously Dolph and Roman having great chemistry was an extra bonus there. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. And there you go, guys. That was Raw versus SmackDown for this week. Now, who won? Who? It was difficult. It was really difficult. I honestly thought Raw was a really good show. Again, I think SmackDown was really good. I'm going to go SmackDown. I think Raw had a lot of good points. I think the Cedric Alexander bit, if Cedric had won the match and been in the main event as well as Raw, I would have probably knocked that up to like a 3.5. But because he lost, and obviously that, but I think the beat the clock segment with Bayley and Nikki Cross was great. Ricochet versus Karl Anderson, the Gallows in pretty much one segment was fantastic. Marie Kanellis was really harsh on her husband, which was great. So for Raw, I'm going to give that a 2.5 out of 5. That very strong show, but SmackDown had a lot more, I think. Aleister Black's opponent announced, the chemistry between Dolph and Roman, KO's promo from the video from the start to the promo at the intro and the stunner at the end really just tied the show off. The triple threat match between Xavier Woods, Daniel Bryan and Otis was really fun. I honestly felt like everything on SmackDown was good. There's apart from the contract signings, felt like the weakest bit with Carmella. That was the only weak point on SmackDown. So I'm going to give SmackDown a 3 out of 5 stars. But what for you guys was the best part of WWE this week? Was it Raw? Was it SmackDown? Leave it in the comments below. If you do like this video, please like, subscribe and press that bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at SmackTalk YouTube. If you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on SmackTalk Wrestling Reviews.